Hey, welcome back everybody. Today we're making Serious Eats Halal cart style chicken and rice with white sauce. This is amazing. Everybody I make it for absolutely loves it, demands the recipe. We're doing the meat marinade first, so that's 6 to 8 boneless, skinless chicken thighs, salt to taste, 3 cloves of garlic that you're gonna chop up, 2 tablespoons of lemon juice, ground pepper, 1/4 cup of olive oil, 1/2 teaspoon ground coriander seed, and 1 tablespoon of chopped fresh oregano. So here we are in a completely different kitchen than I normally would cook with. This is my cottage kitchen. Over the long weekend, just opening up and enjoying a really simple dinner that can be done with a little bit of preparation and gets on the table really fast. I'm just pulling off the oregano here. I find that if you go backwards up the stem, the little leaves hop off pretty darned quickly. One of the mistakes I usually make, and it doesn't really come to any harm, I'm actually doing it right now in the video, is I take all the ingredients for the marinade, I put them in the bag that's going to have the chicken in it, and then I conveniently forget that the recipe instructions actually say to keep half of the marinade to the side. The other half gets reserved for once the cooked chicken is all chopped up, you mix it in with the remainder of the sauce. Both ways, it's absolutely fantastic. It doesn't come to harm when I make this mistake, but every time I do it, I'm like, dang, because I've already mixed it with raw chicken. Time for the white sauce ingredients. Salt and pepper, 1 teaspoon of lemon juice, 1/2 cup of Greek yogurt, 1 tablespoon of sugar, 2 tablespoons of white vinegar, 1/2 cup of mayonnaise, and 1/4 cup of chopped parsley. You can see I'm fast forwarding all the steps here. I don't actually move that fast in real life, or else I guess I'd be like an Olympic chef because I'd be doing a speed competition. But it really doesn't take very long to put this particular recipe together. I find that the Serious Eats website, sometimes the recipes are pretty complicated. There's a lot of steps or a lot of ingredients. But what they never compromise on is flavor. And because I'm an eater, I'm not a person who really likes to make things that are like low carb or high calorie or I don't know, whatever. What I like is high flavor. This is the ideal website for me. I think I've only ever made one thing that after believing I followed the instructions, I wasn't all that impressed. Pretty much everything else that I come up with out of there is an absolute winner, and this one is gotta be the absolute favorite because it's super easy, not a lot of complexity to this particular recipe, but everybody who tastes it just screams for the recipe because it's super good. Time to make rice. This is 1.5 cups of basmati rice, 2 tablespoons of butter, 1/2 teaspoon of ground turmeric, 1/4 teaspoon of ground cumin, 2.5 cups of chicken broth, and salt and pepper to taste. I'm using my Instant Pot to create the rice for me because I am a terrible cooker of rice and there's a nice convenient button. So I have actually modified down the amount of chicken broth to use so that it's more appropriate for using a cooker that doesn't allow a lot of steam to escape. But the amount of liquid given here is for stovetop directions. Time to fluff up the rice. I'm using a cast iron skillet on my oven. Doing this indoors is going to make a very big mess because the frying fats are going to go everywhere, so I'll be wiping up as I go. When I can, I like to use a griddle outside because it's a lot less messy and a lot less to clean up. You're going to get that pan pretty darned hot, and then you're going to get a really nice sear on as much of those chicken thighs as you can. I've just fast forwarded through the actual cooking part here, so now it's time to move on to chopping it up. Before I chop the chicken though, I'm gonna slice up some tomatoes. These ones were pretty overripe, so there were some bruised spots I was just cutting away. And we'll just slice them up so that they can be a nice garnish on the side of the plate. You're gonna chop the chicken into small bite-sized pieces. So even though it may not really seem all that necessary to go like to a really small piece, you'll see here when I get to some of the larger pieces, I start cutting the lengths in half. It's nice, it stretches out a little farther because certainly everybody's gonna go back for seconds on a recipe like this one because it's pretty darn tasty. Time to plate up. So here we've got the rice. We're gonna put some chicken on top. We'll set the tomato slices to the side. We're gonna add that white dressing that we made, and I've also got some harissa that I'm gonna drizzle on top as well. That's also included in the instructions. You can actually buy this in the international foods aisle at our Sobeys. And that's dinner. Bon appetit.